Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jessica and I am currently a 4th semester nursing student. In this video I wanted to talk with you guys and show you guys how I was able to get a 4.0 or all A's in my nursing classes so far. I do want to make a quick disclaimer and say that this video really should be titled how to succeed and how to pass nursing school, because it is pretty toxic if you have the mindset of I have to get a 4.0 and I have to get all A's, and also the environment of nursing school can be kind of competitive with grades and it really should not be. You just want to try your best in order to pass. Obviously you still want to get the best grades you can, especially if you want to go to grad school, and then also, you know, we're in nursing school, we're going to be taking care of patients, and we also need to pass the NCLEX, and so it is important to do well in your classes. So today I have 7 tips that have helped me really get good grades in nursing school. So if you're interested in learning more about how I did it, keep on watching. Alright, so tip number 1 is to get organized and be organized from day 1, and then also stay organized and be able to kind of realize that you're slipping off and get back on track throughout the semester. So I feel like this one's a pretty obvious tip, but I'm going to kind of dive deeper in how I really do this. And in the past, actually, I thought that like taking the time to really get organized, I would kind of have like a toxic mindset of I should be studying instead, and I used to be really bad about this. You know, there'd be times I wanted to go to the gym or spend time with my family or take a shower, and I was like, no, every single second that the semester is going, I need to be studying or else I'm going to fail or I'm not going to do as good as I want, and that's just absolutely not true. And again, I found that if I actually take time to do like self-care, or for example like this tip, being organized, it really ends up helping me in the long run. I'm going to talk a little bit more on how you can really get organized for school. So the first thing I would say is to be organized, obviously, in terms of all your classes. So how do you do that? So what I typically do is before my classes actually start, I will go ahead and read through the syllabus, and then I will just kind of do like a brief reading, because some of my syllabi have been like 40 to 50 pages, which is just a lot of information and it can be kind of hard to decipher the syllabus, I feel like. So I'll just kind of briefly read it, I'll go to class, I will kind of understand it better then, and then what I do, which I will put in a little picture of how I do this, is I will make like a Google Doc. So if you use like a binder, you can print it off, put it in your binder, or you can just have it saved on your computer. And what I will do is just list the class name, the section, I'll put the meeting dates and times, and then I put how the professor likes to be contacted, because certain professors have certain ways and emails and stuff. And then I'll also put like office hours, and then I'll put a breakdown of the grades, and then any like important information, like is the final cumulative, like stuff like that. Next, you would need to find a planning system that works for you and a calendar that works for you. So if you're a digital person, you can use Google Calendar, you can use it like an iPad, even your phone. There's so many different ways. I've even done it before where I've made my own on just Google Docs, which I can insert what that looks like. I just find it was a little bit more like customizable. So go ahead in the beginning, you know, the first week of the semester, sit down, enter in all your dates, your class times, color code it. Personally, I just like one calendar, putting my personal life and like school and work and everything just in one. I'll put, you know, the days I'm getting paid, when rent's due, literally everything. I haven't mentioned this, but I work during school. I pay for my own apartment, and so I work, I have to, and so that can be really hectic along with school. But I found best thing for me is just to stay super organized, and that's how I do that. In addition to like the main calendar and main planner, what I then like to do, because that I just list like my class days, exams, when stuff is due, stuff like that. At the beginning of each week, I'll use something like this, like a weekly handwritten planner type of thing, and this helps me a lot because I'll just like put out like what I have for that week, and it just is a really good visual. Alright, tip number 2, you guys aren't gonna want to hear it, but go to class, like just go to class. I've had semesters in classes where I feel like I just didn't even go to class, and honestly I was so scared I wasn't gonna like succeed in that class, and it was my own fault. And trust me, once you start skipping, it's so much easier just to justify it. So just make sure you're pushing yourself to go to class. I know it can be really difficult because I mean I live in Michigan, so you know in the winter it's like you have to go clean off, you have at 8 a.m. you have to clean off your car, you have to get in your car, it's freezing, then you have to find parking, and it's like so much work. But it's so worth it because your professors are gonna kind of like share hints about the exam, what material you need to spend more time with, what material they just say but you don't really need to, you know, really know it that much for the exam. So go to class. And also I think it's really good to be around other students in that class, talk with them, they can help you, and like you guys can collaborate on the class. And yeah, definitely go to class. And also you're paying for it. Number 3 is to find a study method that works for you. And I know that's really vague and kind of not helpful because I used to watch these videos and I would hear that all the time and I'd be like, well, I don't know what my study method is. You know, in order to find your study method, it does take some trial and error. I also think that there are quizzes online that you can take that will like tell you what your study method is. But regardless, whatever your study method is, I think it's important to get multiple passes of the information, which I will explain in a minute. And then also you want to use like scientifically proven things such as active recall. This is how I study and this is how I get multiple passes of information, and this is what I found. Like if I do this, I know I'm going to like ace the exam. So I will go to class and that's my first pass of information. You're not really going to learn anything like the first time that you hear it, but it's still really important to have that, you know, first pass information. And then I will go home, I will re-listen to the lecture, whether that's like pre-uploaded or if I recorded it on the voice app on my phone. I'll go home and I'll listen to that and I will take notes, handwritten notes. Obviously you can use like an iPad if you prefer that, like digital notes. I will just use like white printer paper and kind of color code my notes a little bit. But I recommend doing just kind of more messy notes for this. And the reason why I say that is I've done like super cute notes in the past, and I do recommend that, but I recommend that more on like the third pass of information. On the second pass, just organize it in a way that kind of makes sense if you want to use different colors, but don't spend too much time making it look good. And for my third pass of information, I will either rewrite my notes and kind of like, this one really helps me because it's like on the third pass you're kind of like organizing the information and categorizing it in your brain. So I'll rewrite it or I will then type up my notes, and this is when I make it super organized. And then after that I will just kind of go through my notes and everything a few times, just read through it, or I'll sometimes rewatch the video. But at that point I kind of looking at my own notes because it's like, again, organized in a way that makes sense to me at that point. And then what you can do now is once you go through it, if you see certain things like maybe there's lab values or a certain disease that you're having a hard time like memorizing or understanding, I will then just make like a half a page or a full page where I just put like this last minute stuff I really need to just memorize. So that's the study method that works for me. If you guys want to try it out, again, I know that's like a really long process, but it's guaranteed to work in my opinion. Alright, tip number 4 is kind of a fun one, and that is to make a friend. And what I mean by this is I think it's really beneficial to have somebody, or obviously multiple people, that you can text, that you can kind of really rely on, and you know that they put in, you know, a lot of effort into their education and stuff, and you can text them if you have any questions, or it's really nice just to talk to. You guys can go over the material with each other and study, and I think that's a really good way to study, especially if you've been kind of like cramming by yourself and you are kind of just bored of studying. It kind of makes it fun. Number 5 is all about clinicals. Clinicals are a huge part of nursing school, and I know it causes a lot of anxiety for a lot of people, including myself, because there's just so much like unknown. You know, when it's your first clinical semester, like you don't know the hospital, if you've never been there, you don't know where to park. It's just, maybe you don't know people in your clinical group. it's a lot. So my biggest advice for this is just to be prepared and also just go into it with an open mind, and I think that's all you really can do. So make sure you're prepping the night before with your scrubs, lay everything out, your bag, make sure you have your badge, pen light, because I know I've actually kind of gotten in trouble for not having a pen light, compression socks to save your feet and legs from hurting. Make sure you're bringing like Advil, Tylenol in case you get a headache or something. Have that all laid out, and make sure you have snacks and food to bring as well. I'm not gonna lie, I've had nights where it's like 11:30 p.m. and my scrubs are dirty, they need to be washed, and I didn't have any food to pack. So don't be like me, prep the night before. And also I recommend bringing food, even if you're planning on buying food like at the cafeteria in the hospital. I've seen it where people have like chose to do that and the cafeteria ended up being closed. So bring some snacks and food, even if you are just planning on buying lunch. I also recommend bringing caffeine and some water because you need to stay hydrated, and definitely like find time to hydrate and get snacks in you. Try and sleep the night before. I know I say try because a lot of people struggle the night before. Take a melatonin. If you do that though, make sure you are taking it early enough in the night so that you're able to wake up. Do something that's good for you the night before, like take a bath, take a nice shower, watch a TV show that you like watching or YouTube video, just to help you relax and because you deserve it. And then also for me, what I do is I set my phone literally across my room because I will not get up any other way. So that helps me physically just get up. You also want to make sure that you are giving yourself more than enough time. It is okay to be early, and you can like show up there early and study if you have extra time, or go on your phone. Just leave early, even if it feels ridiculous. Just do it. You never want to be late. And again, like I live in Michigan, so I've had times where I've been kind of rushing because there's like snow outside. I need to clean off my windshield, and just give yourself time. It's so much better. This in here, definitely do not take any of the nurses' attitudes at clinical personally. And I don't want to scare you guys by saying this, but if you're watching this video, if you're in nursing school, hopefully not, but you probably experience some nurses being more welcoming than others, and just don't take it personally. If you've ever been like a CNA, you definitely know you have rough shifts and the nurses have so much to deal with, and sometimes they just really can't converse with nursing students. And if that's the case, I know my program, if you ever have a nurse that's more dismissive or doesn't really have time for you, then you can switch preceptors. That is an option. But also I do want to say, like, I have experienced so many nice nurses while being at clinicals. They're just so amazing, the way that they treat their patients and the way that they taught the students, and so definitely don't be scared about that. And if it happens, just brush it off, don't take it personally, and just keep staying positive. Also, it's important to make sure you have like a really good relationship with your clinical instructor. Always be friendly, be on time, and also show initiative, and don't be scared to pass meds or try out a new skill, or asking questions is for ATIs, and that is what my school personally uses. I know different nursing schools, they have, I think, different programs. We use ATI, and so I've taken 2 of like the comprehensive exams. I've taken fundamentals of nursing and then also mental health, and I remember being absolutely terrified for these exams just because I heard absolute like horrible things, horror stories on people just studying for like hours and hours and barely getting like a level 1. So I was very, very anxious my first time taking one, and I am very happy to say that I have actually received a level 3 on both of my exams. So I guess I'll share with you guys what I do to do so well on those. First off, I start watching Level Up RN on the topics, and that's a YouTube channel, and they have like different categories, like they have fundamentals, mental health, med surg, peds, OB, different videos, and I'll watch the playlist of those videos, and I'll study with using like those like 3 or 4 steps that I just talked about in step number 3 or tip number 3. And so I'll do that on all the videos, and then I will move on to the ATI book. And the ATI book is more of a like review book rather than a like teaching you book. And so I will go through that, and I think what people really struggle with ATI is like those books have so much condensed information. It's really difficult to know what exactly you need to really know, and that's why I love the Level Up RN videos, because she goes over stuff that's guaranteed going to be on it. Like, you must know this, and everything else is just like extra stuff that is obviously good to know that could be on there. So then I go through the ATI book, and how I make sure that I'm learning stuff but I'm not spending too much time on all the little details is I will read a chapter, and then at the end of the chapter I will do the practice questions. And if I can answer the practice questions like 4 out of 5, or I got all 5 right, then I'll move on. I don't take notes or anything. If I get to the end of the chapter and I only got like 2 of the questions right or none of the questions, I'll reread through that section. So I'll do that for the whole book, and then once I've gotten through the book, again, I don't really take any notes on the book. I will go on ATI and I'll go to the dynamic quizzes, and if you don't know what that is, just Google it. There's like simple YouTube videos that shows you like what that is and how to get there and how to access that. And it's really surprising because a lot of people in my program, they didn't know about that, and it's such a helpful tool. And they have like sections of questions, so you can just hit like mental health or just hit fundamentals or med search and do those questions. And I think there's around like 400 questions for each section. And then when I go through those questions, if I get it wrong, I'll go through the rationale and why it's right, and you kind of make a note on why I got that wrong. So that's how I study for ATIs. Again, it's a lot of work, but it's definitely worth it in my opinion. And lastly, tip number 7 is to make sure you're scheduling in time to do things you enjoy and scheduling in breaks. When I look back to like my first few semesters of nursing school, every single second was either spent actively studying or spent worrying about studying and all the work I had to do. Fast forward to the past few semesters, like I feel like I spent so much less time studying, but I got even better grades, and by the end of the semester I actually feel like a person. I don't feel like a zombie because I've just been school 24/7. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please comment down below if you have any questions, or leave some tips down below. Talk about your own experience, and please let me know what other videos you would like. Go ahead and subscribe, and my Instagram will be linked down below. Bye guys.